Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Stormblood. Welcome everybody to Final Fantasy XIV. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to level from 60 to 70 and some of the options that you have available for you when you level. The list is going to be divided up from slowest to fastest from my personal experience. Now obviously this particular list is going to be a little bit different depending on the class that you play, and I'll make all the comments about it. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and begin with the general consensus that the list is going to be going from shortest to simplest to fastest and slightly more complicated. One of the simpler ways of leveling is by doing side quests that you maybe have not completed as your main character. I personally have a lot of side quests that I have left over for when I'm doing my main story on my main character, and then I have a bunch left over around here for me to do. Now, they're not going to be the most efficient way for you to level, unfortunately, in the game, but it is really easy to do. They're really easy tasks, and it's just easy experience for you to grind up if you want to. You also have the option of doing frontlines and the feast and doing PvP. In my experience, doing PvP is honestly the most fun way to do it, although you don't have as best of incentives when you lose a match compared to when you win a match. It gives you a better of an incentive to try to win and try to really work hard with your team in order to try to win the game. The more you win a game, the more experience you get. If you lose a game, depends on which place your team was at, you get a little bit less experience at that time, but it's a lot more fun for me personally to play PvP. The games usually are quick unless it's a really intense match. At that point, you don't even worry about time flying by. One of my favorite ways to level when I don't feel like pushing any other parts of the content. If PvP is not your forte, you can always run Palace of the Dead. Past level 60, Palace of the Dead will not yield you as much experience, and it will be a very long grind nevertheless, but it's a guaranteed grind of earning a set amount of experience points when you go through the Palace of the Dead run. Best floors to run are simply 51 through 60, those are the quickest and easiest to run. If you want to go beyond that with friends or something, you're more than welcome to get bonus experience, but if you really want to get it down fast, I'd highly recommend you spamming 51 to 60. At a certain point, you may find yourself falling asleep, which is why I don't usually go to Palace of the Dead and try to go to any of the other methods mentioned ahead of the video. One of my most favorite and guaranteed ways of getting experience is through daily hunts that you can pick up right here by this board. This board easily yields you some of the easiest hunts ever that you can do. There are 3 tiers of hunts, and as you level up, you get to do more and more tiers. Unfortunately, they're not repeatable, so once you do them once a day, you have to wait until 24 hours pass on the server, and then you can do them again. Aside from that, it's a really easy way to do it daily if you just make sure to keep up with it. It yields a lot of experience for one class, and I highly recommend trying to spend all 3 hunts on at least one class if you can. If you got multiple classes to level, just pick up the hunt tiers that are appropriate for your level. Try not to overextend, because mobs of higher caliber, let's say for example if you're like a level 62 fighting a level 69, that will hit a truckload, so you want to try to fight enemies of your caliber and of your level. Aside from that, doing this daily is a great way to level up any class. The next best way, and probably one of the better ways of leveling over and over if you just want to spam bunch of content over and over and have a guaranteed chance of earning a lot of experience off your level, is by doing fates, and especially doing bonus fates that yield bonus experience. As you can see, if I open up the map right here, some fates will have this bonus icon and will yield XP bonus applied on here. Sometimes some fates will have this bonus experience, and you want to try to complete them as best as possible and as much as possible to yield even more experience for yourself. Granted, a lot of the fates in Stormblood are hard to do by yourself, but if you want to, you can try to take them on as a tank if you have the ability to summon your chocobo. Aside from that, try doing it in groups, find some fate parties, see who is doing it, and if possible, see if your friends want to go along with you and maybe do some fates with you as well. Aside from that, fates are probably one of the easiest and best ways to just spam things for maybe like an hour or so in order to gain the most amount of experience and yield the most amount of experience for you. It actually yields a lot more than Palace of the Dead, and while the daily hunts I guarantee to yield you very easy experience, fates are probably the fastest way to just spam fates if you really want to get experience. Granted, as you can see right here, I'm currently now playing at 3 PM in the afternoon, and not a lot of people are really doing fates. So we got a couple people doing this fate over here with a duck and cover. Not a lot of people will go do these bonus fates, especially those mega fates that have a lot of enemies to deal with. But if you see any groups downing some fates, maybe like right here, you might want to try to tag along with them and see if you can follow through them and try to level in the area that is of your caliber. For example, I'm level 67, fates in this area are like 66, 65, so I may want to go maybe over to Yangsha and do some of the fates over in this particular area of the Valley of the Fallen Rainbow if I wanted to do some fates. Like I said before, fates may not always yield the player base around you to actually do the fates with you, so sometimes you may need to find a party finder, or just try to see if you can solo it yourself if you want to, or see if any of your free company members want to tag along with you for a little bit of fate grind. Now, the best way of guaranteeing the best yield for your experience and the best time used within your leveling time, or if you have a lot of leveling time, are by doing dungeons that are of your level. If you go over to the regular duty and go to the dungeons of Stormblood, you actually find a bunch of the dungeons if you've done before that you unlock through the story or you unlock through bonus stuff. You got the Saurian Song C, Shisoe with the Violent Tides, Barton's Met, Doma Castle, Castrum Albania, Alamigo. Then you have Kogana Castle, Temple of the Fist. Those you'll be doing towards the end game. But any of these first 6 you'll be able to do, right? Any of these first 5 dungeons, anywhere from Siren Song C to Castrum Albania, is the best way, the fastest way to gain experience. The only problem is, if you play somebody like a machinist or just a DPS in general, the queues for these instances are usually pretty abysmal. I may get lucky over here, but we'll see. Let's go and queue in. 19 minutes. So you got 19 minutes to kill. You could probably do, oh, now we're running up to 20 minutes. You could probably kill your time by doing some fates, doing some hunts, trying to see if you can do some world hunts. If you really want to, if you feel really bored, you can try to grind mobs, but aside from that, just doing fates will probably be the best way to do it in order to pass time. Aside from that, the DPS queue for Stormblood is going to be abysmal. I will tell you that. If you play, for example, like a paladin or a healer, then your queues are instantaneous. And as in, like, I can queue in right now to Doma Castle, I get 5-minute queue time and a queue pop already immediately. For the sake of the video, I'm gonna go ahead and withdraw. I'm sorry, party, I really wanted to go along with you, but this is how fast the queues are for healer and tank. So if you're leveling a healer and tank, simply just spam dungeons. That is your best way and a guaranteed way of always getting into a party and always getting into an instance and be able to grind out easy experience. If you play DPS, refer to every other method, because that is probably going to be the best way you'll ever be able to get anything accomplished, unfortunately. And last but not least, the most guaranteed way to get the most amount of experience ever is by doing your daily roulettes. Doing your level 50 to 60 roulette, doing your leveling, the trials, the main scenario, the guild hast if you really want to squeeze out a bunch of it, and your daily frontline just in case you want to do a daily frontline just for the sake of doing a frontline. Aside from that, simply just do your roulettes, or anywhere from level 50 to 60 to guild hast. You can even skip guild hast if you want to, it doesn't yield too much experience. You can do main scenario if you want to and then just kind of end from there. But doing these daily things every single day is probably the best way you'll be able to yield a lot of experience onto you. Do remember that if you're going to be doing things like the leveling roulette, sometimes you'll be getting a bonus for adventure in need of a tank. So let's say, for example, I have a tank that I'm currently leveling, a paladin at level 68. I can switch over to the tank and run this dungeon. This will yield for me experience, money, seals if I need seals, and will yield crack cluster. I was able to collect 3 of those actually for the time being. Crack clusters can be turned in for the Materia 6, which will be really important for your end game gearing. So if you want to stack on those, feel free to have a healer or a tank ready. Sometimes not every adventurer in need will be a tank, sometimes they need a healer. It really depends on what is required at the moment. For the most part, tanks are really required, so if you really want to start leveling a tank, this is the prime time to start working on a tank. Pick warrior, paladin, or dark knight, and just go spam dungeons like crazy in order to get all these crack clusters for the Materia 6. Now, for any bonus experience, make sure to remember the following. Fates that have extra experience marked on them, you don't see any right here, but if they have any fate with an extra marker on it with extra experience, you want to try to do this as much as possible. This will yield you the most amount of experience. Sometimes you may eventually get a buff every now and then after doing a couple of fates. Well, it will yield you a bonus amount of experience from fate from a next fate that you do. You want to try to spam those as much as possible, especially if you're going to be running in a group together. Next, completing your sightseeing log is probably the best way and the easiest way to get very minor amount of experience found for you. But you can, however, complete the sightseeing log if you want to, in order to find some of these areas, some of these locales, in order to yield a little bit of experience. It's not going to be a huge boost of experience, but if you find a lot of those collectively, it will yield to some bonus experience for you to do. World hunts are very important to do. Make sure you join a link shell that is part of hunts, like maybe something like family hunts, and I had a reliable hunts. There we go, reliable hunts link shell that is on my server. People usually post very important information. There's some macros you can set up. There's also some websites you can find online to track all the hunts on your server at your time, as well as making sure you maintain a food buff on you at all times. Any food buff will actually be beneficial because every single food benefits extra 3% XP bonus duration. So if you have food that you don't really need, don't really care for, don't really use it too much, maybe you're not a crafter, maybe you're not a gatherer. Say for example, I don't really craft or gather, and I have bouillabaisse. I can just go ahead and use bouillabaisse, and that will yield me alone 3% experience for meal benefit, and that's going to be really important. Whether it gives you a stat bonus or not, it doesn't matter as long as you consume some sort of food buff. It can be even something simple as milk. I had some milk before here, but I don't have it anymore. You can pick it up at any city state. It works just fine. It yields you extra 3% experience, which is really important for when you really want to try to crunch down as much experience as you can throughout your leveling journey. Aside from that, I wish you good luck with leveling. It's going to be a very long and arduous journey, and I hope it goes well for you. Aside from that, you can play a tank or healer to get fast queues into dungeons if you really want to. If you're a DPS, it's all about patience. Patience. Unless you have a really friendly tank or healing friend that can queue you into dungeons really quick. Aside from that, I hope you enjoyed the video. My name is Stormblood. Like, subscribe, and as always, have a good day, and I can't wait to see y'all level your characters and alt to level 70. Anyway, see ya!